Hello, welcome to episode 4 of Starcraft Observer. Here we've got a decent amount of news this week. Then again, not as exciting as previous weeks, I don't think. With me, I have Tyler, a.k.a. Colgar. How you doing this week, man?
I am not doing bad. How about yourself?
I can't complain. Had a busy week at the day job, busy weekend, but I'm not on call anymore, so everything is good. So, you want to go ahead and kick it off, or is there anything you want to talk about before we actually get into these news items?
Actually, you know what? No, we will no longer have Zoran with us on this show.
All right.
We're going to be having another different player from our team here with us discussing what happened in StarCraft. So, just going forward, I feel like everyone should know that.
Yeah, and it's going to be, we're looking at probably 3 weeks or so before we get somebody else to step in, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I think we can make do until then, but hopefully people can bear with us and not have that StarCraft player's point of view and have the fan and team manager. And we're just running down the news, so we don't have any. Especially this week, we don't seem to have anything that would, at least that I can think of, player would have a different perspective than us, I guess. But I'm not sure. So why don't we go ahead and kick it off?
All right. First news item: Stephano wins WCS Europe. I don't think that's a huge shocker, although I was very surprised with the games that went down. Lucifron, Stephano is a great player, and he's Zerg, and we all know Zerg's overpowered, especially in ZBT. I mean, that's not just my personal opinion, guys. But he played against...
Because he plays Protoss, so...
Yeah. He played against the brothers from Karante, Lucifron and Vortex, and Lucifron is a Terran, and he did great against Stephano. There were some extremely good matches, and if you didn't see him, I would suggest you go check him out. He ended up beating beating Lucifron, and he went in to face Vortex, who beat his brother for the third place match, or going into the grand finals. And again, really good games. And I think that if Vortex would have continued with the early game pressure, it just didn't look like Stephano had any way to answer that early game pressure. He dropped the first series, the best of 3, and then the second series, Vortex tried to go with these macro games, and it's just not a good idea versus Stephano. So Stephano ended up winning.
Yeah, Stephano's pretty much going to out macro pretty much anybody. I mean, that dude is just perfect with the injects on from his queens, and it's just yeah. There's
and
no other way to say it.
It's been an item of discussion in the past when we've talked about it, and jet lag has always been a huge discussion. Stephano proved that it's not a big issue. He got into the tournament maybe 2 hours before the tournament. He didn't have any of his clothes. He was using someone else's keyboard. He had just everything that could possibly go wrong for him went wrong for him. He still ended up winning.
Right.
So,
and I'm not trying to take anything away from Vortex and Lucifron, but like some of the times when players have talked about jet lag, it's been like Thorzane and the GSL. And I'm not trying to take anything away from those guys, but they're not GSL players. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's the only time. I know that other players have said it at other times, but that's the one that sticks out in my mind. It's like, and those guys are phenomenal players. I'm really not. I didn't even realize they were brothers until I watched until I read the write up. I didn't get to watch any of it because I just had so much stuff going on over the weekend. But I read the review of it, and I'm like, I had no idea. Like, I'd heard of Vortex, and then I'd definitely heard of Lucifron. I didn't have any idea that they were brothers. But yeah, and I'm not trying to take anything away from those guys. They're phenomenal players, but they're not MC. They're not NST. They're not. So I still think maybe jet lag is a factor, but I don't think it's as big a factor as. I mean, I think Stephano definitely proved that it's not as big a factor as a lot of people try to make it out to be.
Yeah, that's usually if someone does poorly, that's their excuse.
Right.
Oh, jet lag.
Now I will go back to say people like NST who've been around and playing for years. To pull the old man card, it's like you feel the effects of that when you're a little bit older than you do when you're in your early 20s. Trust me, you do. And that's why NST rarely does foreign tournaments, is because he doesn't. Well, one, he doesn't need to. And he also he can't handle the travel. I mean, he doesn't need to, and it's like it's too hard on him to travel. It's too big of an adjustment when he's talking about going from Korea to like California. It's like a 14-hour time difference. So he feels like he doesn't perform as well, and it is a factor, but I don't think it's as big a factor as. And I think Stephano did prove that it's not as big a factor as a lot of people want to make it out to be.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I definitely want to check out the VODs. I think Blizzard has the VODs up. Actually, the write up that we have on the link for words not
yep,
working good.
Words. Yep.
Yeah.
Find them.
The write up on Team Liquid actually has links to the VOD, so I'm probably going to try to catch those and at least check out some of the games. Probably not all of them. It seems like they've got the last few rounds of the winners rounds and the last few rounds of losers, so they get like the top 8 or so. That's what it looks like. Definitely going to have to check them out. I mean, even though I really don't like watching Zergs play, I like watching Stephano play. You know, I'm not a big Stephano fan, but I like watching Stephano play. It's he definitely puts on an entertaining match. So, but and that's actually going to be kind of interesting with something that might tie in the WCS. That might tie into one of this next item. The Intel Extreme Masters China tournament is no more. There's been it was supposed to go down at the same time as the Anime, Comics, and Game Show in. I'm going to slaughter the name of this town, the city in China, Guangzhou, China. I'm not sure if that's. I know that's probably not nowhere near.
It was
correct.
A good guess.
It was a good guess. Right. Stupid American. I'll admit that. There's some speculation, some reasons around why that event was canceled, and therefore, since that event's not going on, IEM is not going on either. There's some speculation that it's a political conflict between Japan and China. Wow, I can't even speak today. Wow. And anime being very heavily focused on Japan, and there's some political conflict and some cultural conflict between the two, and the political conflict has maybe kind of amped it up. I'm not going to comment on that because I really don't know, but there's some speculation around it. But the tournament is not happening because the hosting event is not happening, and there's some speculation around whether or not that's going to affect the WCS World Championships, which is supposed to be in supposed to be in China this year in November. So, kind of curious what that's going to cause there. I don't think it's going to cause that big of a deal because it's the WCS. It's not something that's focused on Japanese culture. But
yeah,
I didn't know if you had heard anything about that.
I haven't, and I didn't even know there was an issue there, but apparently there is, and it's like they mentioned in the article that it's going to be kind of sad because that's where China was where Idra made his run through IEM and won, and that was, I think, his last major tournament that he won. But regardless, it's, they always had good games that come out of China, and I think it's kind of sad that we're not going to be able to see it.
Right, yeah. So hopefully the WCS, and sorry about that little video glitch that just happened there, it's just kind of weird. Hopefully the WCS goes on as planned. It would be a real shame to see all these players who have won their national and their continental championships, which I think we're still waiting on the Taiwan and Korea and the Asia championships. I think are the only ones we have left, right? I'm not sure. Because we've done North America, I think we've done South America.
It was mentioned somewhere. Yeah, I believe that's correct.
So I think we've just got maybe one or two in Asia, the regional ones left to do, and then we're signed up. Then we're head up for the World Championships in November, which is going to be. I really don't know the date off the top of my head. I want to say it's like the 14th or something like that, like the middle of November. It's not Thanksgiving. It's before Thanksgiving weekend for those of us in the States. But I hope it doesn't have it would be a real shame if it does have a problem, if that creates a problem for all these players that have done so well in their international and their continental championships to no longer get to go and and compete in this event. I mean, this is one, like, I've watched some of the WCS. Like, I watched the WCS event that happened in Anaheim when I was there. I watched some of them off and on that were online when I had the opportunity to, and then to have this world event, like, I was really looking forward to it because there's some really, really, really top-end players who are going to be playing in this event, so I'm really looking forward to it. So hopefully it keeps going and it doesn't cause a problem for the WCS. So, but I guess that kind of leads us right in.
Kind of.
Not entirely.
I think the order was a little bit messed up, but regardless.
Right.
The prize pool. What was that?
Oh, go ahead.
The prize pool was announced for the World Championship Series, and I think Blizzard's on the right track. I mean, Riot, of course, sets this extremely high bar with the amount of money they're throwing at something, but it's a $250,000 prize pool, and the first place winner will take home $100,000, that's pretty good for you don't have to split it all because it's a single player format. Most of these team games are 5 players and you have to split it between the 5 players, so it's pretty good. But Blizzard, billions and billions of dollars a year, I don't know. What's your opinion on it?
Well, I see your point about, Blizzard has one of the most profitable, Activision Blizzard is one of the most profitable game companies out there, and be honest, Blizzard is the most profitable division of Activision. If you want to boil it down to, like, who owns what franchise and what title, Blizzard has the most profitable, and sadly for the Starcraft fans, that's World of Warcraft. It's just a cash cow for them. So Blizzard has just tons of money. And so, yeah, it's kind of like, maybe $100,000. And it was $100,000 for first place, right?
Yes. $250,000 total.
So, okay, yeah. While that might seem a little slim on the winnings, it's also the biggest payout for a tournament that I can think of.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
So
it's like you want to set the bar super high, and you always get these people that complain about League of Legends ruining the professional sports scene or esports scene in total garbage because they're doing nothing but helping it by throwing all this money into it. But I think don't get me wrong, Blizzard supporting a tournament is perfect and is exactly what we need. What I was getting at was that is $100,000 for a first place prize. Is that the best they could do? Probably not. But like I said, don't get me wrong. I think it's a good idea that they're getting into it.
No, I agree with you, and they probably could do more. But then you got to come down to corporate politics and budgets, and this is probably coming out of their advertising budget. I'm guessing. I'm just guessing, because that's basically what this is. They're advertising StarCraft. So, but I don't know. It's hard to say which budget it would be coming out of, but you have to deal with that kind of thing going on. And granted, it's on the public side of it. Even though like I just said, World of Warcraft is their cash cow, but on the public side of it, I think StarCraft worldwide is probably more well known. Maybe not in the States, maybe not in Europe, but worldwide.
It's just not a constant payment going on. And
right.
It's like
exactly.
World of Warcraft, you got all these junkies, and I can say that because I was once one of those junkies where they're just
just
paying $30, just throwing it out like it's nothing, and you got what was it like the last time I checked was like 11 million subscribers.
It's down to about 9, but yeah, I mean 9
right.
million.
Well, sorry, 9 million, $30 every 2 months.
Right.
It's got to be horrible. I remember seeing something about their they posted their profits or something. It was like it was like $120 million a day or something ridiculous, and I was just like, no, that seems less than what they make. I mean, you gotta realize they have thousands and thousands of employees and stuff like that, but still.
Right. But yeah, I mean, they're making. I mean, they're basically making $150 million, not quite per month on World of Warcraft alone. And that's not profit. That's revenue, so they got costs in there, but I mean, and that's not counting that they're still continuing to sell Diablo 3, granted at a much slower pace than they were. They're still continuing to sell StarCraft 2. Plus, they've got Heart of the Swarm is getting ready to come out. Plus, they've got box sales because they've got a World of Warcraft expansions coming out in a week from today. So that's coming out at 40 or 50 or $60, depending on which version you get. So they've got box sales that are giving revenue too. And so I kind of see your point that 100 grand is maybe kind of like
they could do better, but
they
thankful
could
for what they currently do.
They could, but at the same time, the tournaments that have like GSL pays 50 grand roughly. I mean, depends on what the exchange rate is, but it's basically 50 grand for the first place. They're paying more than GSL, and the GSL I think has probably got the highest payout of at least from any regular tournament. There might be others out there that maybe pay more for their first place. I'm not sure of. I'm not sure what IEM pays for first place.
Oh, man, I know. No, actually, I can't even say that now. I remember Major League Gaming, like the cumulative championships, like the national championships. I think Starcraft was like $50,000. Then all of the other little tournaments, like leading up to that, where you got your seeding for that. At least last year, were like 2010.
I was gonna say, 'cause I know at least since Providence, it's been the Starcraft winner typically gets 25. Which I'm not saying, it's just 25. That's not what I'm saying, but I think Providence and moving forward, that's what the Starcraft winner is getting. Now, MLG's not announced what they're doing in Dallas, but, dude, I know you kind of put the show notes together in order, but, dude, you're fucking pro at this, really, because that just really ties us right into the next one.
Dang straight I am.
Unless,
born for this.
Yeah, I know. Unless you have anything more to say about the WCS.
Nope.
So yeah, I mean that definitely ties us right into the they're calling it MVP, which to me is a little misleading. Being a StarCraft fan, because I think of MVP,
the player,
right?
Yeah.
But so we got MLG versus the Korean Pro League, which is basically KESPA. So basically, what this is going to end up doing is they're going to have an online qualifying event with up to $10,000 in prizes. And sorry if I'm kind of looking at my screen here because there's a lot of details here that I'm going to miss if I don't. It's going to come down to 32 players, I think, with 24 players out of KESPA, 8 from, I guess it's going to be more than that. 12 players, 24 from KESPA, sorry, 12 from North America, and 6 from Europe. And they are going to
48 players total.
48 players total, yeah. So they're going to compete in basically an online qualifier where the top 8 are going to end up at MLG Dallas, where I will be. Just bought my passes about a week ago. And then so I'm kind of fortunate, feel kind of fortunate that I'm going to be going to 2 straight MLGs and get to see the KESPA players twice.
Yeah, I wish I was going, but I just don't have that much money to. God, I'd love to go to that one.
Dude, I'm telling you, if you can make it to Dallas, you got a place to crash. Dallas is a 3.5-hour drive for me, so it's not that big a deal. But yeah, it's going to be really cool that they're bringing in all these players, the top 8, plus the top 8 from the arena, and I've lost my place on this page. Are going to they're all going to be in Dallas and they're going to compete, and they're going to compete for $10,000. Now, what MLG has done in the past when they've also hosted the WCS, I'm kind of curious if they're going to do that with this. Some of the North American players and the EU players, and maybe the KESPA players too. Yeah, that was an interesting sound that you just made you look to your left.
Yeah, big trucks.
Yeah, I had my neighbor mowing his yard just literally 15 minutes before we started the show, and I was like, please finish. But yeah, so it's going to be kind of interesting with this. In the past, like for this past MLG, like they had said that if you're competing in the WCS, then you cannot compete at was it Raleigh that they had this last one? Yeah. That if you're competing in WCS, you cannot compete in the open bracket. And then they ended up having some drama and they worked that out. It's going to be kind of interesting if they're going to have the same thing, if it's going to be like a separate tournament and they're not going to let people cross-compete. It's going to be kind of... It's going to suck if they're not going to let these KESPA players play in the open bracket and play against...
Yeah, they're already going to be there.
Right, they're going to be there, and it's going to be... The fans are going to want it. The fans are going to want to see...
it's some of the biggest names, you know, like Flash, Bisu, Jaedong. Like you got all of these big players that everyone wants to see, and if you're gonna like force them to only do this, and that's not really helping the KESPA foreign relations either. When you kind of limit them to what they're able to do.
Right. I mean, the fans are going to want to see, and granted, it just depends on how it's going to play out in the bracket, but the fans are going to want to see like Flash versus Marine King, Jaedong versus MC. And
as we've all known recently, these KESPA players have been doing great, even against GSL players. So the fact that they'd probably rip apart some of these foreigners that try to stand in their way, and it would just be fun games to watch.
I think so too, and I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully they'll be able to compete in it. MLG hasn't said one way or the other, but in typical MLG fashion, I got a feeling they'll actually say about 3 days before the event. You know, they don't typically. I mean, I'm surprised that they're even announcing this early, to be honest with you. They've been getting much better about that in the past 4 months or so. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, $10,000. That's the total payout. That's not the first place payout. So hopefully they are going to let these guys compete in the open tournament or the open bracket.
Even if they'd have to win in order for it to be profitable for them to even spend the money to go there. But
I do know from interviews from the KESPA players that were in Anaheim, I do know that they really liked playing in America. They talked about how different the fans were. That, you know, in Korea, everybody is much more reserved when they cheer for their favorite player. And here, I mean, anybody that's been to a football game or anything here, they know how kind of apeshit we can get, right? And it's like that at these MLG events, and they were kind of shocked by it, I think. But they dug it at the same time. They dug the passion that we had in the crowd. So hopefully, the state that I'm living in now, hopefully Texas, we can outdo what we did in California when I was there. So. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this, and again, hopefully we can get these guys. We'll be able to see these guys in the open bracket and be able to compete more there. So you're busy as hell in the chat room, and I'm basically ignoring it because I've got too many windows open on my screen. So,
well, pretty much the discussion was that the open bracket's already dominated with Koreans, and I'm not sure that I agree with that. I think. Yes, of course, Koreans, they get placed in the open bracket. They generally crush everybody, go through, place in the top 16. And, but there's only a handful of them. And, of course, they all do good. But I think the open bracket's also a great place for people that that are new and they're looking to make a name for themselves. And it's a great place for upsets, especially the open bracket. You knock this major player out of a tournament or knock him in the loser's bracket, you're a hero. I mean, like people know who you are. You get recognition. And that's another reason why they have the open bracket. But it's also like, you know, yes, so Koreans generally make it through, but there's still plenty of people that can still play. And I mean, I don't know any official numbers, but did they actually sell out of open passes like in other MLGs? I know they have for like Halo before, but
competitors passes, yes.
Yeah.
The only reason I know that is for this most recent one in Raleigh, the player that Total Biscuit sponsored, they basically had to buy a competitor's pass off of somebody who wasn't going to make it because MLG wasn't selling anymore. So I know they had sold out of competitors' passes. As far as spectators' passes, I don't know that they ever actually say they're sold out. I think they'll sell anybody a pass because honestly, they'll let you sit on the concrete, dude. They'll let you sit wherever you want as long as you want to pay to get in. And honestly, you know, $30 for an entire weekend of esports, and it's not just Starcraft either. I mean, you've got the fighting games going on, and Dallas are going to have Halo 4 there, and you know they've got League of Legends going on. It's not just Starcraft. $30 for a whole weekend is actually it's worth it.
It's not bad.
No, it's worth
it. It's not bad. Yeah, it's like you can buy an online shitty viewing pass at some tournament for $20, and you're not even there like really experiencing it. I can watch StarCraft any day of the week. What makes you think I want to spend $20 online to watch some games?
Right. I honestly think, and I know a lot of people might want to, you know, like hunt me down with pitchforks and torches, but I honestly think MLG could charge a little bit more for their spectator passes. And I'm not.
What'd you say?
Not a whole lot. I'm just thinking like they could charge maybe $40, and when you talk about $40 for an entire weekend, that gets you Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. and it's $10 more. $40 for that much entertainment is not a whole lot to be paying. And when you talk about 25,000 people in an event, an extra $10 a head, that's a lot more money for MLG that they could pay out in prizes, that they could get better advertising, they could put on more events, which they're already doing. They're already putting on more events with this MVP thing that we're talking about and that kind of stuff. So, I mean, and I'm not saying that they should double their prices or anything like that, but, you know, another $5 over 25,000 people, that's that much more that they could dump back into esports. I don't know. I know a lot of people disagree, and a lot of people might think that maybe MLG is going to go, you know, just pocket the money, which part of me kind of thinks they might. But so yeah, yeah, and that's what in the chat room we were talking about the competitors passes, and they were saying that they sell out about a week before the event. So for the
so you got plenty of time to get them, is what I'm saying. It's like there's no, if you think you can make it and you buy a competitors pass, big whoop. You know, it's like.
Well, I honestly, like, if I thought, like, this is the second MLG I've been at, I've actually thought about buying a competitor's pass and just walking around with the printout being like, I got a competitor's pass, who needs it? And just give it to them, because they're not expensive.
Like, right there at the door, yeah. It's just, you could make some money off that.
I wouldn't even worry about making some money. Just be like, here's an eSportsNet sticker. Put that on your shirt.
Oh, you could do that, too.
Right.
That'd be a good idea.
So.
You heard it here first. New marketing opportunity.
Anyway, we should probably go ahead and move along.
Oh, we got plenty of time.
Oh, we do have plenty of time, but...
All right, we'll move on. NASL Season 4 began. And I don't watch NASL a lot. I'm just gonna flat out say it. I'm not a big fan. I am not a big fan of Greetorp and Frodam on their casting. I do like Rotterdam and Mr. Bitter, but that's personal opinion. But I did see one of the games, and it made me smile from ear to ear. Rhett, actually, when they were doing the picking process, Rhett picked Huck, and it was, you know, their old teammates, their buddies, and Rhett has always generally come out on top, probably because he's Zerg, overpowered. But like in previous seasons, he's always come out on top versus Huck, and this time Huck absolutely crushed him, and it made him look like the worst player ever. How badly Huck crushed him, and it made me laugh. I chuckled inside. Okay,
so you and I haven't watched this, and I don't even know if the VODs are up anywhere that I can watch. I definitely do want to watch this. You and I talked about this, what, Friday? Thursday?
I'm not good with dates, man.
Me either. It was a few days ago. We talked about this.
I almost forgot we had a show tonight.
I kind of did too, because my like real life just like I went to the different office today than I usually do on Tuesday, so like I wasn't in the mindset of it being Tuesday. Yeah, I remember we talked about this, and I remember you tell me exactly what you just said. You told me that, and I'm like, I like to see that, because like I like to see these guys who've done well in the past do well, and it's like, did it look like Huck was just on top of his shit, or did it, you know, did
he looked like the Huck of old, like the Huck that had won an MLG or two MLGs back to back, and he just looked like a great player. I mean, and you can't judge a player, like, you know, he's said in the past that he's revamping his play style. Right. He's really going to practice and stuff like that, and then he usually didn't do well. And he said it again. You can't really judge how someone's doing based off of one series, but if that's any indication of how he's going to be playing in the future, we're going to see the old Huck again, because that was incredible.
I hope so. I really do. Like, Huck's one of my favorite players because he never, I don't want to say never, but he typically doesn't give some kind of a cop-out when he loses. He's just like, I didn't play well. You know, he doesn't give some kind of...
He's very mad with himself, and it's not like a...
Well, he doesn't say it's jet lag.
Yeah, you know, he doesn't give excuses, and he's very mad at himself, but it's not like a depression mad. You know, he uses it as fuel to get better, and I think that's what every player really needs. It's like you shouldn't be okay with getting third place or okay with, you know, losing because you lost to some Korean. Like, and I say it to my players all the time. It's like, you know, most of them are high masters, and they're like, oh, there's a GM, I'm gonna lose. I'm like, why? The only difference between GM and high masters is the amount of mistakes you make. So don't make mistakes, and you can easily beat this person. And then they get shocked when they beat the GM. They're all like,
Well,
holy crap.
And plus, on the ladders, it could be a GM be like, "Oh, this guy's Masters," and they play sloppy because they could get that ego of, "Oh, I'm a GM," and so I mean they could win. It's
so it's like you need to be in the right mindset. You can beat anyone, and so you should never be. It should never be acceptable to say, "Well, he's a GM, so that's why I lost." And you know what? I'm okay with it because he's better than me. No, there should be no one. You should never have that mindset, and it actually bothers me when people say that. And so I'm glad that Huck is that kind of person where he'll get mad at himself and want to do better. And I think like due to all of his previous, he's not having any successful tournaments. I think it's good that he's using it as fuel to get better.
Yeah. No, I did see him at Anaheim right after, and granted, he was completely knocked out of the tournament, and he was leaving the players area, and somebody asked him for a tournament or for an autograph, and he was just kind of, and he was polite about it, but he's like, "Not right now, man." And you could just tell the dude was down, but it's like he wasn't rude about it, and I'm like, I can kind of understand, but at the same time, probably should have signed that mouse mat or whatever it was. I don't even remember what it was now, but yeah, I mean that's one of the things. That's one of the things I like about Huck is he doesn't give that cop out excuse. He doesn't give that. He's just like, I didn't play as well as I should have, or he's better than me today, and I love that about Huck. I have the most respect about for players who can do that, rather than just give he's ranked higher in the ladder.
Jet lag.
Yeah, and
and Huck's the first person. He's like, as a professional StarCraft player, I'm on a plane so often, just going to different tournaments, doing different things in different areas.
And that dude,
I've never heard of him giving the jet lag response.
No, and he's got some shitty luck too. Speaking of travel, I don't know if you follow him on Twitter. I know I'm a bigger Twitter player or user than you are. Like he got to Hong Kong, and apparently the team made the reservations for the wrong weekend. So he got to his hotel in Hong Kong, and there's nothing. And it's I'm like, dude, seriously? If this is the state that EG players have to deal with when they travel. Yeah.
I mean, Stephano, he lost his luggage, and it's funny. It's
right.
The Muslim was on the same flight. He lost his luggage too. It was just this big mess. But Thorzane ended up letting him use his shirt.
Well, they're both really skinny. So, but anyway, want to move on to the next?
Certainly.
Fall qualifiers?
Yep. MLG now has fall qualifiers, and they're open online qualifiers. For North America, it's October 9th through the 11th, and they're $10 a pass, and I think it's great. Instead of having these players, I don't know. I think it still gives players this time to figure out whether or not they're good to travel this far, rather than spend all this money to travel and get knocked out by some cheeser in the first rounds, and you're like, well, sweet, there goes my $2,000 to spend on this trip. I think online qualifiers are good, and it gives players a chance to know where they're at, engage where they're at, and so they can still watch MLG as a spectator rather than as a competitor if they lose.
Right.
All of these passes are $10, and you can bet that every single one of my players is going to be playing in it just to see where they're at.
Oh, dude, I thought about throwing $10 up and just six-pooling everybody. I mean, just why not? Just say I did it.
Well, Zerg's OP. It'd probably work.
I don't know the first thing about playing
there anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I've already planned a trip. I've already got my hotel room planned out. So yeah, might as well. $10, right? Yeah, and the thing is, there's a lot of people complaining about it being $10. I'm like, it's $10. Really, it's. I honestly even going back to when I was a freshman, sophomore in college, and I was broke as hell. $10 is something I could come up with. I don't understand why it's a big deal. I mean, yeah, MLG's going to make a lot of money off these $10 passes. I get that. But they're a business. That's what businesses do. Like you and I were talking right before the show about businesses and trying to make some money and that kind of stuff. That's what businesses do. That's why people start a business, is to make a living and make money and help their investors out. I don't understand why people have a problem with that. I mean, it's $10. You paid $60 for the game in order to play. And a lot of people I know who play StarCraft, these are people that I know personally. A lot of people I know who play StarCraft have multiple accounts, but they'll bitch about the $10.
Yeah, and
I don't understand
that multiple account thing. So since StarCraft came out, they've been saying that they're going to have the option to buy a name change. Wondering where the hell that's going to come in, or if they're just like, we're going to keep making them think that we're going to implement name changes, but we're just going to keep making them buy new accounts.
Actually, they gave a free name change.
Well, they do give them out every once in a while.
Yeah, I still have one on my account. When they brought out, I think when they added battle tags or something like that. I remember when they gave the credit. But I still have a credit. I get a free name change. I don't know that it ever expires. I don't know that I'm ever going to change it anyway, but it's there. And I don't know how to change your name. I think you actually have to go into your account.
Yeah, you go on Battle.net.
Yeah, and you can't do it in game or anything like that. So, yeah, I mean, so the open online qualifiers are in Korea. They're in September. EU's September 23rd. Sorry for Korea. EU is the 25th through the 27th of Korea. Wow, my words are just all mixed up. It's the 25th through the 27th of Korea of September, and North America is October 9th through 11th. They claim that a lot. MLG has put out just today. I saw the post. I'm not sure if it was dated yesterday or today. That they are going to start televising a lot more of the stuff, and by televising they mean streaming. So hopefully a lot of this stuff for us spectators and fans is going to be available for us to watch. I'm not sure that we're going to get to watch the Korean and the EU stuff. Hopefully we'll get to watch the North American stuff here in the States anyway. But hopefully MLG is spreading the love around, and they're going to broadcast the Korean stuff. They did say, we don't have it in the show notes, but I did read it right before the show. They did say that Axel Toss and I don't remember the other guy that they announced is going to be casting a lot of the qualifier type stuff, and to keep an eye on their site for more scheduling information. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch all this kind of stuff pan out. Hopefully, we get to watch these qualifiers, the invite only qualifiers, which come from the top 88 from Raleigh and on several other different places. For North America is October 13th, 14th, 16th, and 18th, which is a weird gap. It's like,
whatever works.
Yeah, it's just kind of weird that they're hopping days in there. I'm not really sure what's going on there. So anyway, we should probably move along to ASUS ROG has done kind of a, I don't want to say they're kind of the MLG of Europe, but they kind of are. They don't have as many smaller events like MLG's got the arenas and that sort of thing, but they do 2 or 3, maybe even 4 tournaments a year over there. This one they're doing a smaller one with the good studios with Apollo and I don't remember who else is involved. I know Apollo is kind of like the
Too Good. He's
yeah.
I am such a fan of the good studio. They know how to have fun while still, well, I guess they're not really being professional, but they know how to have fun,
right?
And it's enjoyable to watch. And I think that anything they're ever involved in that I've watched, I've absolutely loved. And I'm actually looking forward to this event.
Yeah, I am too. I'm hoping that we get more information out. I mean, I know we will, but hopefully it doesn't get drug out too long. It's a $10,000 prize pool, 8 invited European players, so it's an invite only. They're going to do, right now they're going to do 2 groups of 4 players where the top 3 advance from each group. The top player from each group gets a bye in the first round of the playoffs, so those top 6 players, the top 3 from each group, 6 are going to go into a bracket. The top 2 are going to get a bye, and then they just play a bracket out from there in a single elimination format. They've only announced 3 players so far. It's Elfie from ROG, Kaz from Empire, and Rhett. Outside of Europe, Rhett's probably the only one most people are aware of. Hopefully, we're going to see.
Well, I know Cass, and just from watching European tournaments, it's funny that last week we were talking about how North America, or I guess America in general, needs to do more about the esports scene in North America, and how this European tournament is exactly what we need in America. There's 8 invited European players,
right?
And it's what it's all about, and that's what we need in America so that people know that esports exists. Yeah,
and we've talked about that over the past couple weeks. We actually talked about that 2 weeks ago on why don't we have a North American tournament? That's North America only. But it's something that it's got to be coming. It's coming. Just say it that way. It's coming. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch. I'm really looking forward to this. Those particular dates. The problem I have with a lot of the Good Studio stuff and ASUS ROG stuff is my sleep schedule. If I get up to watch their events, even though they're weekends, but if I shift my sleep schedule to watch their events, I'm screwed for the day job, right? So I get to catch like the tail end of their events. I don't get to watch because a lot of times you'll get like really good games early in a tournament. And the finals are usually pretty good games, but they're not the greatest, and they're on at 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning for me. So, and I kind of feel the same way about a lot of the DreamHack stuff. So, I enjoy watching a lot of that stuff. It's just difficult for me to watch, and the VODs sometimes aren't available very early. I guess the last item we have in our show notes here is not a whole lot to discuss, except for maybe some speculation. I don't want to dive too deep into it, but the Code A brackets came out like Friday. It's like 4 days ago they came out, including some of the folks who have fallen out of Code S that would fall out of into round one, and a lot of the Kespa folks from the up and downs and the Code A qualifiers. And honestly, Code A is anybody's game right now. A lot of these Kespa players, we're not sure. Like you had mentioned earlier, how well they've been doing, but they haven't been doing that well for that long. So it's hard to say. Like, there's a lot of them that I'm like, okay, so Jaedong is going to play MVP finale. Jaedong is going to win that. I'm just going to tell you right now, Jaedong is going to win that. But then one of them's got to play Nestea, and I lost it right now. Nestea's going to win.
Are you sure? I haven't seen anything good from Nestea recently. He loses to these. I'm not going to say they're mediocre players because they're not mediocre players. They're professionals, but in comparison to other GSL players, they're mediocre.
Now I got to find it. Yeah, see, it's not even showing up because it's a graphic and not text. I personally think Nestea's going to win his first match anyway. I can't see Nestea. Part of the reason I say it's because I cannot see Nestea fall into Code B. I just can't see that. I can't see him allowing himself to fall to Code B. This is the first time in like. The thing is, they just gave him an award in the last GSL season about how many consecutive Code S's he's been in, and now he's not. I just don't see him falling to Code B. I really don't, and I'm really trying to find it. And there's like so many freaking players here that I can't see it now.
On this bracket, I didn't see it either. I went through it. So
there it is. He plays Xenex Sparta.
Where is this?
It's in a ZVT.
Oh, I see it.
He's going to win. It's a ZVT.
The LG is throwing me off, man.
Right, yeah, exactly. He's going to win. It's a ZVT. It's an ST.
Zerg's overpowered, but
yeah, I mean, a lot of these plays, a lot of these matchups, like Code S has been interesting. I mean, Naniwa lost out in the first round. Like, I didn't see that coming at all. Like, and I know you kind of it kind of got spoiled for me during our last episode. That
I told you not to refresh.
Well, I didn't. I went to a different round and then came back and it was refreshed.
It's too late.
Yeah, it was too late. But yeah, so GSL's interesting right now with the people in Code A who haven't been. I mean, Naniwa's been in Code S for at least 2 seasons, if not 3, maybe. Well, this is the 4th. So I don't know where he was in season 1. I don't even know if he is in GSL. But I mean, I know he's Code S for the last 2 seasons anyway. Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be interesting to see what these new Kespa players coming in and how well they're going to do. And they haven't been playing StarCraft 2 as long as the other guys that have been around. But a lot of these guys came in through the Code A qualifiers. They didn't even come in through the up and downs. And it's just going to be interesting to see how it goes. Like MCs in Code A now. And like MMA.
That's so weird to me.
MMA. And yeah, it's an interesting GSL this season. Very interesting GSL. So I don't want. I would love to sit here and go down and pick them all, but that would be boring for everybody to watch and listen to. And honestly, some of them I'm just like, I don't know. A lot of them.
That's most of them for me.
Right. A lot of them are players I don't know, or if I know them from watching VODs from their Brood War days, and I've not really seen them play much StarCraft 2. So I don't know how they've been performing. Obviously, they're performing well enough to get into Code A and get through the qualifiers. Yeah. But how they're going to do against someone like Maru Prime, who is not a Marine King Prime, or he's not a creator or somebody like that, but he's still a GSL player who I've seen play several times. I've never seen CJ Effort play. I don't know. So just it's really hard to pick some of these, but I mean, Naniwa looks like he's going up PvP going up, and I think that's a Kespa player. STX Mini I think is a Kespa player. A lot of the names kind of blur for me after I look at 64 of them. So, but yeah, it's going to be interesting. I can't wait to see how this all plays out. Code A starts. Wow, I want to say tonight. Yeah, actually no, Code S round of 16, Group A is the 19th, which is in Korea. It's the 19th, so it'll be it'll be overnight tonight for us because that starts at 6 p.m. Korea time, which is they're 14 hours or 15 hours ahead of me in Central Time. So yeah, Code S that round starts, and then Code A starts on the 25th. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch all this stuff play out. I don't know that I have enough time to watch all these VODs, to be honest with you, because I got that whole job thing that I got to go do instead of sitting home and watch Starcraft, which sucks. I wish I could sit home and watch Starcraft. But anyway, I think that's pretty much it for a show. We've made it all the way through the show notes, and we're pretty much right on time. So do you got any shout-outs you want to give?
I do. I'd like to thank our sponsors, esportsnet.tv, obviously the wonderful host of this show and allows us to host this show every week. Gaming Jerseys, Jay Huang Enterprises, and UViddy. And yeah, I'd like everyone to like our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/RighteousDawn. If that was too quick or confusing, I can type it out, but I think you guys got it. And that's pretty much it for me.
All right, well, and for me, just want to throw something out there. Something we had a show on eSportsNet TV a while back. We had to kill it, put it in mothballs. We moved on to this show. We're carrying forward a giveaway that we had on that show. If you go to our Facebook page, it's facebook.com/eSportsNetTV. Give us a like out there. Once we get to 100, we're going to give away a $20 Jinx.com gift card. Once we get above and beyond that, maybe 200, maybe 250, depends on where we got. I've got a Fatality gaming headset right behind me here. I don't know if you can see it behind me or not. No, I can't lean far enough. I'm not going to turn around and get it, but we'll give a headset away, different things. We got different giveaways we got planned out, so go ahead and go over there, give us a like, ask your friends to give us a like. Hit our website up, esportsnet.tv. Send us an email, esportsnet. Again, words failing. esportsnettv@gmail.com. Throw us an email if you get a scoop on some news or something you think we ought to cover, even if it's not a scoop and you think it's something we ought to discuss in the show. Give us a holler. Send us an email. You follow me on Twitter. The handle's been down there all along. I'm at Lignar. He's Colgar MLG, which he slacks on Twitter. He's not that good at it.
Yeah, I don't use it.
Plus, we got eSportsNet on Twitter, twitter.com/eSportsNet. So that'll announce when the show gets posted up for download on, or it'll be available actually on our website. So I guess until next week, I guess it's going to be just the two of us for a while. I'm going to try to get a guest on in the next week or two. I'm going to reach out to some folks that I know, some folks in the Texas Esports Association. Maybe we can get get one of them to join us. So maybe we can get somebody on the next few weeks. But until we get our regular third seat, it's just going to be the two of us for a while, so hopefully you guys can bear with us. But spread the word, please. Invite your friends, tell your friends about us, tweet us, whatever you can do. Spread the word on Facebook. Until next week, I guess that is it. So have a good weekend, good week, and see you next week.